Hi, boys and girls. It's Mr. Mack from the Harker School. Today, we are going to be focusing on equivalent fractions. Don't panic. Big word in front of fractions. All it means is equal or the same. So take a deep breath. You're going to be okay with this lesson today. All right, we're looking for fractions that are equal to one another. They have the same size. They take up the same amount of space. So when we look at these pictures over here, I feel like this is a very good example of equivalent fractions, all right? We have our whole here. That's what we always start off looking at is our whole. And then we break it up down here into fractions. So we have 1/2, fourths, and we have eighths here, all right? So what they're saying is that these fractions here, here, and here, all three of these are examples of equivalent fractions because they take up an equal amount of space. This bar here is the same amount as these two combined, and it's the same amount of space as these four combined. The biggest thing to understand with equivalent fractions is when we have the same whole, which is our whole right here, okay? That is important, number one. And number two, that they take up the same amount of space here. So if I was to draw a line somewhat straight down, you'll notice that all of those, again, not perfectly straight, but they all take up the same amount of space. Equivalent, equal fractions, right? So when we look at real life examples, we have example number 1 here where it says Noah has 1/2 of a fruit pizza. How could Noah cut the pizza into smaller, equal-sized pieces and still have half of the whole pizza? All right. So if you're looking at this, a whole pizza like this, right? We're used to seeing pizzas like this. He had half of a pizza, which we're going to say maybe it was this half. All right, over here. They want to know how could he cut it into smaller, equal-sized pieces and still have half of the whole pizza? Well, that's where we have a half, and even if we cut the pizza into fourths, 4 pieces, these are still equal. This is still half of the pizza. It's just now there's 2 pieces here, each of those being 1/4 because it is 1 piece out of the 4. All right, so each piece is 1/4, and when you combine them, you're still going to have this half of a pizza. All right, so that's what they're looking for. If you're looking at these rectangular pieces over here, we had a whole pizza. We cut the pizza in half, and now we're worried about this half. They're saying, can we cut this half into fourths? Yep, or even eighths down here. So they are equivalent fractions because they still take up the same amount of space. We have 1/4 and 1/4, but that still is equal to a half of a pizza. And 1/4 and 1/4 means we actually have 2/4. And we're saying that that is equal to 1/2 because it takes up the same amount of space there. All right. So they want to say, can he cut it into even smaller pieces? Well, that's the example down here when you cut it into eighths. If I made this whole pizza be into eighths, okay, I still have half of the pizza shaded here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 out of the 8 is the same amount of space as 2 out of 4 or 1 out of the 2. So we have to understand that even though these numbers look bigger, like 4/8 are bigger numbers than a 1 and a 2, okay, when we're talking about the same whole, if you're starting out with the same size pizza, okay, it's going to be equal amounts when we're talking about a half, 2/4, or 4/8. And this is what this picture kind of shows a little bit, and this is what these pictures kind of show a little bit as well. All right, so I'm going to move us on to another example on the next page. Excuse me. It says Kwan's bookshelf has 3 shelves. Only one of the shelves has books. So Kwan says that 1/3 of the shelves have books, right? 1 out of the 3 shelves have books. His mom says that 2/6 of the shelves have books. Are they correct? So they're saying, is 1/3 equal to 2/6? That's what they're asking, right? Because this is what Kwan said, and this is what his mom said. So we're asking that. Is 1/3 equal to 2/6? Well, let's look at the fraction tiles here. And that's what these are called. They're called fraction tiles. This is the whole, right here, one whole. Quan said that 1 out of the 3 shelves have books. And his mom said, I say that 2/6 of the shelves have books. Well, if you look, when we're dealing with the same whole, we break it up into 6 equal pieces. 1/3 and 2/6 are equal. They take up the same amount of space here. All right. So fraction tiles are the best way because when you are able to use them and handle them and feel them, you can really see that. So this is a good example where you're seeing that they are equal to one another. Another way down here they show is with a a number line. Okay. So we have 0 and 1 whole, and we break it up into 1/3, 2/3, and 3/3. Well, here's where 1/3 falls. Okay, and then down here we break a number line into sixths. 6 equal spots. 4, 5, 6. 2/6 is still the same spot on the number line as 1/3. Okay, so again, equal or equivalent fractions are 2 fractions that take up the same amount of space or are located in the same area on a number line. All right, so down here in our guided practice, it says complete the number sentence with an equivalent fraction. Well, we have 1/2. Well, how many fourths is that going to be equal to? Well, we have 2 total blocks that are each a fourth. So that is 2/4 right there. Okay, so I'm going to erase some work here. And I'm going to move us on to a little bit of practice where you are going to have to do a little bit of work this time. All right, so just like in some of my previous videos, I'm going to go over kind of what I'm looking for on these problems, and then we're going to pause our video, and you're going to give it a shot on your own. And then when you're done, you'll unpause it, and I will go over how to do it. All right. So for number 2, it says to complete each number sentence to show equivalent fractions. So we have 2 equivalent fractions here. We have 1/2, and they want to know how many of the sixths are needed to make this equal to 1/2. So you'll fill in the blank there, just like this one. How many of these fourths are needed to make an equivalent fraction of the 6/8 over here? All right, the number line, you find the 2/4 and you draw the line straight down, and that'll tell you what the equivalent fraction is. And number 5 is similar to number 2. So right now you're just going to try 2, 3, 4, and 5. Pause it now and give it a shot. And now that you've unpaused the video and you've given it a shot, we're going to go over the answers for these. Okay, so we've got 1/2 is drawing the line straight down here. How many sixths do I need to equal 1/2? Well, here's 1/6. Here's 2 of them. Here's 3 of them. That would be 3/6. All right. Over here, how many of the fourths are needed for an equivalent fraction for 6/8? You notice they take up the same amount of space, right? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of the 8. This is 1, 2, 3 out of the 4. 3 out of the 4. Okay. Down here, they want to know 2/4. How many eighths is that? Well, when I draw my line straight down, I see that that is equal to 4/8. Okay. And then right here, again, 1/3. How many sixths do I need to make up a third? 1, 2 of the sixths. 2/6. All right. So down low, 6, 7, 8, and 9, it's a fun little matching game, right? You're going to draw a line, or I will draw a line, to find out which one is an equivalent or equal fraction, which one takes up the same amount of space as the fraction that is given. So you're looking at 1/2 and saying which one of these takes up the same amount of space as 1/2. You're looking at the eighths and saying how many eighths are here, which one of those matches, so on and so forth. So I'm going to pause it. I'm going to let you try and match them. And then once you're done, unpause it and I'll go over it. So you should be paused. Now you've unpaused it. Let's take a look. 1/2. Which one of these takes up about 1/2? A line is in the middle. Well, this one's not near the middle. We know that the half line kind of falls in this area. And it looks like this 4/8 would be equal to 1/2. And then this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6/8. So that goes further than 1/2. So the only ones that go further than a half are these two. So I'm kind of looking at the space that's left over, and I'm thinking, well, which one of these looks like it's about the same? And I see I've got two of them to look at and try and figure it out, and it looks like down here is going to be the one that's going to match, all right? So then that only leaves these two, and if by process of elimination, we've got 2 of the thirds here, which is definitely more similar to the 4/6, and then 1 of the fourths here is very similar to the 2/8 there. All right. So again, equivalent fractions, the biggest thing to understand is that they are taking up the same amount of space in our whole. As long as your whole is the same, you're looking at how much space is taken up and understanding that an equivalent fraction takes up the same amount of space. I hope this helps you guys out. Good luck.